What's up guys, welcome back to McLaren Media, welcome back to another Lightroom tutorial. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how I turned this photo of a Polo GTI into this photo of a Polo GTI. So let's get on with it. Right go, so we're in Adobe Lightroom and this is a photo of my sister's boyfriend's Polo GTI that I took the other week after a trip to Haynes Motor Museum. I'm going to be showing you how to edit this photo, or how I edited this photo. Let's start with a few optic corrections. So as we know, on the right hand side here in Lightroom we've got all these, if you go to these sort of like slider panels, you've got all these options you can do. First thing I want to do is come right down to the bottom and go to the optics tab. If you haven't got it open, just click on the little drop down arrow, it'll drop down. It's already worked out, it's a Sigma 1835 lens at f1.8, and this is where you can change your lens distortion and add in some vignetting if you like. Now we've done that, come back up to the top and I'm going to change my colour profile to, what do I want to put in? I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep it in Adobe Colour, to be honest. I'm going to keep it in Adobe Colour. And then this is where now we can start editing some of the light. But before I do that, I just want to do a little bit of cropping. So if we come down to this crop tool, which is this little box with the arrows, I just want to pull a little bit more closer in on those shipping containers on the left hand side of the screen there, if you can see that, and pull that across just a tiny bit, just to get those rule of thirds you see as sort of like the intersecting right through the middle of the photo. And then I just want to twist it a little bit just to make the car seem like it's sort of sat up higher than it is. I'm sure you can see that in the edit there. So now let's start editing this photo. I'm just going to play around with the sliders here in the light section. So if we go back up to the slider panel here, it's going to bring a little bit of exposure out, bring the contrast up ever so slightly, bring the highlights right down. This will pull the blue back into the sky and also start to stop some of this overly exposed silver bodywork. Just bring the shadows up ever so slightly, pull the whites down. I'm just going to push the blacks up just a tiny bit. As you can see, this car's got a carbon bonnet and carbon wings. Obviously the wheels are like an anthracite grey as well. Right, if we scroll down to white balance. Now I shoot in a manual white balance. Something I've noticed about my Lightroom, for some reason it doesn't detect when I've done that, but obviously we shot in a shaded environment. So on that white balance tab, if I come down the shade, you'll notice that it ever so slightly changes the colour. Do you see that? Obviously understanding white balance on the camera is important, but it's basically just telling the camera what's white, because cameras can't see white is the most basic way of describing that. So I'm going to leave it on shade. Now I'm going to add, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to suck a little bit of the vibrance out, and the reason for that is because I'm going to add the colour back in. So I don't want to tuck too much out, but I want to suck a little bit out. And the beauty of this car being a darker greyish colour is that that's something you can do. You can suck the colour out of it and the car still stays silver, which is really helpful for us. If we come down now to the colour mixer, you've got colour, hue and saturation. I'm going to leave it in saturation, and here we're going to bring some of that colour back. So we'll start with the reds. Now I know for a fact if I zoom in, the brake calipers on this car are red. There's not a lot else in this photo that is red, so I know that the brake calipers and also that GTI badge on the front is the only things that are going to become more red. And you'll see if I slide that slide down, see how they get darker. Now I want to bring the orange back in. Bring the yellow up. The yellow is going to sort of come on this shipping container here and that background area over there. Then a bit of the blue as well, bit of the aqua. Gonna suck most of the green out, and I think there's not a lot of purple in that in this photo. We've sucked quite a bit of that out as well. So already you can start to see the car starting to pop. I'm gonna come right down, and I'm gonna leave these the effects and that in this particular thing. So we're gonna do one of my favorite things to do, which is come to this little like bevelly icon-y circle thing, and we're gonna now select subject. So naturally, if you've watched my videos before, I like doing this because it helps separate the subject from the background. Yeah, so already it's detected the car. So what we can do is basically do minor adjustments to just the car. And the reason for this is so I can get the car to pop. So what I'd like to do is come down to the texture. Oh, so it's come down to the effects panel, scroll down, texture. We're going to add a bit of texture back in and a bit of clarity. I find cars respond quite well to clarity. Just going to bring the dehaze up just a tiny bit, and then bring the sharpness up as well, just about there. It's all personal preference what you do with these settings, guys, and zooming in on the photo and just looking around can be quite helpful. And then once we've done that, I'm going to go back up to this big blue plus icon and press background. Now hopefully this should detect everything that wasn't the car, which it has. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the exposure down just a tiny bit, contrast up another tiny bit, bring the highlights down, shadows down, this help darken that floor, leave that for the time being, and then we'll come down to texture and clarity again. So what I like to do is actually pull the texture out of the background, just a smidge, still add a little bit of clarity, but not too much, bit of dehaze, a bit of sharpness as well, just helps that overall image. And then what we're going to do then is sky, because we've got quite a nice blue sky in this photo, but I think we can make it pop more. So once it's detected the sky, which it's done quite well there, we can start to expose this. So I'm going to bring the highlights down, which will help bring some of the blue, but not too much. Mostly we're going to come down to the color tab, and we're actually going to force some blue in there. We'll put the saturation up just a smidge. We can put some purple into there as well. I think adds quite a nice layer of color. Now this photo is looking really good. I'm really liking how this looks. It's very colorful, it pops, the car's good, but I think we can make some really good adjustments to the actual photo to allow your eye to draw more to the car. Not that the car's not filling the frame, but we want to be able to draw the attention to the car. So what we're going to do, we'll come back on this little bevelly icon circle, big blue cross, and we're going to do linear gradient. Now draw up from the bottom. I do this with all my car photos. So you draw up from the bottom, create this linear gradient. I then suck the exposure out of the floor. So already you can see just how much difference that's made to the car. If I turn it off, sorry. Ooh. If I suck the exposure back and then pull it down, you can see there just how much difference that's made, can't you? So that's something I like to do. And you can do this with as much as you want. So we can see that the light source is coming from sort of the left hand side of this photo. So what I do like to do is draw another linear gradient in the direction of the light source and actually increase the exposure, because that then gives like a false sense of like light and sun hitting the vehicle. And you can move this around as much as you want, really. You can move it further across, you can move it up and down still, depending on where you want the light to come. I'm going to do another one on the other side, but I might make this one another sort of darker tone. Yeah, so it kind of gives the illusion that there's a shadowy object to the right hand side of the photo. Final things we can do in this photo is the brush tool, and we can just paint around the bottom here of the vehicle, and then bring the exposure down just a tad, and what that does is it just increases that shadowy area under the car, which allows it to raise off the page a little bit more. So guys, that photo I'd say is actually edited in Lightroom, and it looks really, really cool. I would say what you could do now in Photoshop is obviously there's bits up here you could remove. Obviously there's all this gumph in the background over here, but I'm not going to cover that in this video because I think just showing photo edits like this are good enough. So if we hit the backslash key, we can see the before and after. So before and after, and you can see just how much difference that makes, can't you? That is a really, really well edited photo. That pops, the car looks amazing, and I'm really happy with that. So guys, that brings us to the end of this Lightroom tutorial. I hope you've really enjoyed watching it and following along with me editing this photo. It's a really cool photo. I really love the location. I really love the photo, how it's turned out and how we managed to shoot this particular car. It's a really good car, this to shoot now. It's got the carbon bonnet, the carbon wings. A really, really nice car. I've driven it myself. It's ludicrously fast. It's got almost 500 horsepower in a Polo, which is just insane. The owner, obviously being my sister's boyfriend, he's quite well known with this vehicle. It's been featured on multiple YouTube channels around the Nürburgring. Yeah, so to shoot it and be part of this car's like life is quite an honour, because it's a very famous Polo GTI amongst the car world. So guys, yeah, that brings us to the end of the video. I've managed to turn this photo into this photo. I think you'll agree they look amazing. The photos are on my Instagram channel, which is McLaren_media, if you want to go give me a follow on there. And then guys, this brings us to the end of the video. So as much as I love doing these sort of things, I have to say bye, unfortunately. I hope you've enjoyed watching me edit this photo, and I hope you want to see more of this in the future. Let me know if you want to see more photo editing in the future. If you've got a car and you live around the local area, hit me up as well. So I'm always ready to do photo shoots, and I'd love to experience more car photo shoots and more video content. So yeah, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and I will see you in my next video. Keep enjoying your crusty, rusty modified cars, and take lots of photos of them and put them on the internet, because we all want to see them.